Okay, now let's look at the theory section of WAEC 2023. We want to review it, and with me here I'm going to use WAEC marking scheme to actually discuss the answers to these questions. Now, question number 1A says identify five values of civic education. Now, this question has only 5 marks, meaning that the mere mentioning of any one gives you 1 mark. Now, the 5 values of civic education, remember we started by teaching you values. So there are many values of civic education, which are, we have honesty, we have integrity, we have commitment, we have truthfulness, we have justice, we have probity, we have fair play or fairness, we have godliness, we have courage, we have loyalty, we have selflessness. We also have loving and caring, we have tolerance, being able to tolerate, we have cooperation, or what we call team spirit. We also have discipline, or what we call self-control. Another value is transparency, being open. Obedience is also a value we discuss in civic education. Right attitude to work is a value in civic education. Diligence is a value in civic education. Humility is a value in civic education. Being faithful, that is faithfulness, is a value in civic education. Patriotism is one of the values you were taught in civic education that is expected of citizens. Another value expected of citizens in civic education is determination. Also, endurance is there, dedication and commitment is there. Modesty is one of the values you are taught. Reward and recognition is a value. Giving and sharing is part of the values we taught you. Reliability or trustworthiness is one of the values expected of you to imbibe as a citizen. Moderation is one of the values. Consistency is a value. Orderliness is a value. Initiative is one of the values. Perseverance is one of the values. Respect is a value. And hard work is a value. So among the values, any 5 can go. I remember this is 1 mark per question. Now, the B aspect of this question says, explain any 5 ways citizenship education can contribute to nation building. Remember, when we talk about citizenship education, we are talking about civic education. So in other words, we are talking about the importance of civic education in nation building. Now, this question is 10 marks, which means each point has 2 marks. Because it is 2 marks, it requires explanation. So you don't just make the point, but you have to go further to explain, throw light on the point in order to make your full mark. But for the purpose of time, we are going to give you the point was mentioned, and you can see the points from which it can be developed. Now, the ways citizenship education can contribute to nation building. 1, it enables citizens to know their rights, duties, and obligation, because in civic education, citizens are taught about their rights, citizens are taught about their duties, so that they will be able to protect their right or prevent their right from being infringed upon, and also be diligent in performing their duties as citizens. So you see how I've explained it. It's not by saying that it enables citizens to know their rights, duties, and obligation. I have gone further to explain, and this is what we give you the full marks. Then the next one is, it enables citizens, it equips citizens with relevant skills and knowledge to effectively participate in governance. So it gives citizens the skill and the knowledge to effectively participate in governance. This is because in civic education, you are taught many things about the governance, governmental system. You are taught about the structure and functions of government. You are taught about the public service, and these things are knowledge. Even election and electoral commission, this knowledge enables one to participate effectively, understand the need to participate, and also participate as an informed citizen in the affairs of the society. The next one is it produces responsible, well-informed, and self-reliant youth. Remember, citizenship education is also a form of youth empowerment. So it equips youth with self-reliance, make them self-reliant, make them not to be, dependent on other people, but to depend on themselves. It also enables citizens to develop positive attitudes and values which they need to function as relevant members of the society. It also makes citizens understand common problems associated with emerging issues in the society. That is why this section of civic education deals with emerging issues. So it enables citizens to understand the problems associated with emerging issues such as HIV/AIDS, drug abuse, human trafficking, cultism, etc., and the ways of solving these problems. So you are educated about these emerging issues so that you can develop the skills on how to solve the problems associated with these emerging skills, and even how to control and prevent these emerging issues. It makes citizens also, it provides opportunities to citizens to absorb and practice the basic forms of democratic culture, because civic education is education on democracy. The emphasis is on democracy. The emphasis is on how to make citizens to participate in the democratic affairs of their states. So, by doing this, it promotes that democratic culture in citizens. Then it increases the understanding and relevance of politics, governance, and the civil society to the daily lives of the people. It's also one of the ways civic education can contribute to nation building. Another way is by producing responsible citizens who will shun crimes and other antisocial behaviors. So you are taught the right values, and these right values will make you not respond to joining in some criminal behavior or in criminal behaviors. Then also, it creates the required awareness among citizens on national or current issues affecting the society. So, in civic education, citizens are equipped with knowledge of issues affecting their society, because as a good and responsible citizen, it is important that you understand the problems facing your country. Also, it fosters tolerance, friendship, peace, and respect of other people's view on opinions on the society. That is, learning how to put up with other people's view that are different from yours. Then it promotes proper understanding of the relationship between leaders, followers, and societal needs. It also helps citizens develop good sense of judgment in handling critical issues in the society. That is, applying fairness, applying fair play in handling issues in the society. Then another one is encourages social orientation and mobilization of citizens for nation building. So it mobilizes citizens to contribute to the upliftment, to the development of their nation. Then it produces committed and responsible citizens for sustainable national development, because the essence of this responsible citizens, that is the vision of civic education to raise, is to bring up national development. It also enables citizens to adhere to the rules and regulations in the society, because you are taught the value of obedience. You are taught to respect the rules and regulations of the society, including the constituted authority. Also, It informs citizens about the activities of government in a democratic society. So you learn the rules of government. You understand what government does and what is expected of the government. It provides the youths with some knowledge and skills required of them to actively participate in governance. Yes. Another thing it does is it facilitates good interpersonal and intercommunal relationship, thereby promoting peaceful coexistence in the society. It also does this by helping individuals in developing good leadership and followership qualities for the collective good of the society. So civic education is a training on leadership, how to be a good leader and how to be a good follower, because even no matter the level of leadership you are a follower in one sense or the other, and you also start as a follower. So one is trained. It trains citizens, it trains individuals on how to be leaders and as well how to be followers. Then it gives citizens proper knowledge of their common national history and identity. It takes you to some political histories of your country. It makes you to understand where your country is coming from politically, so that you can understand the current situation or how the country has come to be what it is, and so that the citizen will be able to actually solve the problem for tomorrow. Then it encourages citizens to be committed to national integration, nation building effort, which may lead to the progress and development. Of course, when we talk about national integration here, as citizens living in a multi-ethnic society, national integration, civic education is very important in building national integration. It equips citizens with required knowledge, critical thinking skills and positive attitude for identifying national problems and providing solutions. So it gives you skills to identify the national problems of the society and also to come up with solutions on how to solve them. Then it does this by also assisting citizens to address issues related to diversity, peculiarity of minority rights in a multi-ethnic society. That is, we are talking about the minority issues in a heterogeneous society like Nigeria. It also encourages citizens to be of assistance to others, that is helpful to others. It does this by, it also contribute to national development by promoting peaceful resolution of conflict. That is why in civic education you are taught about conflict and conflict resolution methods. Also it contributes to national building by making citizens to be conscious of the need to protect their environment. It also contributes to nation building by teaching youth empowerment skills, which can lead to economic growth. It also contributes to nation building by teaching youth good leadership skills. That's why we also learn qualities of a good leader in civic education. And finally, citizenship education contributes to nation building by teaching youth about responsible parenting. That is why under national ethics and discipline, you are in civic education, you are taught responsible parenting, the rules of responsible parenting, the importance of responsible parenting, especially in the development of the society. So this is the first question. Now let's look at number 2 question. It has two, that is A and B. The A question, number 2A, says outline 3 factors that determine the legitimacy of a constituted authority in the society. So these are the things we are talking about, factors that can sustain or promote legitimacy of a constituted authority. When we say constituted authority, we are looking at those in authority, especially those in government. Now, number 1 is popular support. A constituted authority must have the support and the consent of the people he exercises his authority over. Then there must be a reliable leadership or good leadership qualities from the constituted authority is one of the factors that determine legitimacy. The leader must have those positive leadership skills. Also, where you have periodic, free, fair and credible election, it will determine and promote legitimacy, because any constituted authority that emerges out of a free, credible election, that is accorded legitimacy. Another factor is international recognition. That is, being a constituted authority in a state, members of other states or international organizations like United Nations must also acknowledge you. Though it must not, but they have to acknowledge you for that legitimacy to be there. There must be popular participation. That the people must be able to participate in decision making of that constituted authority, and even participate in the emergence of that constituted authority. Adherence to the provisions of the Constitution is also another factor. When the leader, constituted authority, governs according to the provisions of the Constitution. Also, the customs and traditions of the people is also another factor that accords legitimacy. Then the charisma of the leader is another, that is the innate quality, the peculiar personality, the attractive personality of the leader is another factor that promotes legitimacy. So these are the factors. This question is requires that you have to explain them. Now, the next question says, highlight these factors. The first question, that's factors that determine legitimacy. You just need to mention it's one mark each. But this one highlights these factors that facilitate citizens' obedience to constituted authority in Nigeria. This question requires explanation because it has 12 marks. That is, each point is 2 marks. So must be explained. So 6 factors that facilitate why citizens obey constituted authority in Nigeria. 1 is good and right leadership. So when a leader exhibits leadership, good leadership skills, of course, the person will automatically get the obedience of the people. Also, good governance and effective service delivery. When you talk about good governance, we're talking about responding to the needs and expectation of the people. So when the constituted authority, the leader responds to the needs and expectations of the people, most likely the people will naturally obey the leader. The obedience will be high. Also, adherence to rule of law or due process or the Constitution. So when constituted authority adheres or follows due process in its activities, respect the Constitution that is swears to uphold or is swore to uphold. Whenever it does that, of course, obedience from the people, because the people consider every action or its pronouncement as legitimate. Also, respect and protection of citizens' rights in the society. People respect when they feel that their rights are secured and protected. Then, administration of fair play, equity, justice in the society, especially coming from the judicial arm of government. When constituted authority is able to administer justice fairly, of course, there must be compliance and obedience from the people. Also, public enlightenment on the importance of obedience to law and order. Of course, it is the duty of constituted authority to establish a medium of enlightening the people on the need to obey constituted authority, on the importance of law and order, on the importance of compliance to the law and order of the society. When this is done, of course, the tendency to obey will be very high. Inculcation of moral and religious values in the citizens. When citizens have moral and religious value in them, of course, obedience is one of the core of these values. It will be natural for citizens to obey constituted authority when that moral values are in them. Now, if the constituted authority is legitimate, obedience to it will be natural, because the citizens respect the constituted authority as the rightful claimant of that office. Equitable distribution of dividends of democracy also brings about citizens' obedience to constituted authority. Fear of sanction. That is why a constituted authority must establish ways of punishing those that violate the laws of the society, so that a fear of sanction and punishment will make the citizens to naturally obey constituted authority. Then patriotism among the citizens. We promote citizens' obedience to constituted authority. When they see that, when they love their country, have this sense of identity and feelings for their country, it will be natural for them to obey, because it shows their patriotism to their state. Then it promotes promotion of economic development. When those in authority promotes economic development and people see that things are working the way it should, obedience to constituted authority follows. Then protection of lives and property, and the internal and external security of the citizens. When citizens feel secured, when their lives are protected, of course, by the constituted authority, that's the government, of course, they will be naturally inclined to obey the government, knowing that they are secured under that constituted authority. When there is job creation, employment opportunities, obedience will be more. Of course, we will have reduced crimes in the society. So it will make citizens to obey constituted authority. Then, when law and order is maintained by the government, ensuring that there is peace at all times, ensuring that there is no breakdown of law and order, the government is always there through the law enforcement agency. Of course, it will be natural for obedience to follow. Then provision of social amenities. Citizens expect that the government should provide these dividends of democracy, that is social amenities like pipe-borne water, good roads, electricity, and so on. When citizens are benefiting from this, from the government, and they see this, of course, they will naturally respect the government. Also, when there is harmonious governmental relations, we are talking about relationship amongst the arms of government and also amongst the levels of government. When you have this harmonious relationship amongst the government, of course, the citizens will follow suit and respect them, because the government will earn itself respect if there is harmonious relationship existing amongst them. Then, if there is accountability from the government is able to give account, be able to be open and show what it's doing with the resources given to the government. Of course, there will be this trust from the citizens, which goes naturally with obedience. Also, when there is conduct of free and fair and credible elections, of course, people will trust first the person that will emerge, or the constituted authority emerging through the process, and the natural obedience to this constituted authority will be there. Then, of course, if the customs and traditions permits the constituted authority, if it is part of the customs and traditions, especially where you have monarchs, it will be natural as part of custom and tradition for people or citizens to obey the constituted authority, because it's part of their culture that any person in this position must be culturally obeyed. Then, exceptional personal quality of the leaders. If the leader is a charismatic person, having special qualities that attract the people, obedience to such leader will be very natural. Then, foreign objectives of government, we also get go along in actually getting citizens to obey constituted authority. Then the ability of the government to uphold the state ideology, the ideology for which the state is established. If the government naturally respects this ideology and promote the ideology which is stated in the Constitution, which is the reason for the state to be established, of course, obedience to such government, because the government is taking the society to the right direction, the obedience will be natural. If the government runs open door policy, transparency, open door where people freely participate, where people freely have access to government, and where people easily have access to information concerning the government, of course they will obey the government, because they will establish trust will be established. And finally, when there is tolerance of opposition views on the part of the government, that the government tolerates the views of the opposition, the criticisms, because the opposition will always criticize government. When there is criticisms of the opposition, of course, I mean, when there is tolerance of these criticisms of opposition, of course, it shows that the government is accommodating, and the government will attract the constituted authority, which is the government here, will attract the obedience of the citizens. So these are the points expected of you to answer this question. Now let's look at question number 3. The A part of the question says, define intercommunal relationship. Now that's a definition. Now it is defined as the process or mode of interaction between two or more communities for the promotion of peaceful coexistence and other related social benefits. So the first point there is that it is a process of interaction, because we are talking about intercommunal. So it's interaction process, because it's continuous and something that keeps on evolving and developing. So it's a process of interaction involving, because it's two communities or more communities, and of course the interaction has risen, promotion of peaceful coexistence and other related socio-economic benefits. So this is the definition of intercommunal relations. So it's a process of interaction it involves two communities to reach the objective, peaceful coexistence and socio-economic benefits. Now let's look at the next question, which says, explain 4 ways by which an intercommunal relationship promotes community development in Nigeria. So let's look at it. When communities relate, how does the relationship bring about development? The first one is by enhancing the economy of the communities. Remember, it will be recorded that most interaction between communities is usually economic interaction. Could be buying and selling involving the two communities. It could be investing from this community coming to this community members coming to invest in this other community, and this vice versa. It could also be this community tapping the natural resource and this other one tapping the natural resource that they don't have from the other community. All these things boost the economy of these communities. Now, it also promotes friendly relations among communities. When communities interact, we see things like organizing competitions by communities. Things like football matches are organized. These things are friendly relations, and other forms of competitions involving the two communities, and also even in their cultural festivities you see them doing them jointly and also being part of each other's cultural festivity. These things are friendly relations fostered by intercommunal relations. Then also it promotes peaceful coexistence. When two or more communities interact, they understand each other better, and that will enhance peaceful communal living, peaceful intercommunal living. Of course, it will reduce hostility against each other. Then it encourages cross-fertilization of culture, ideas, arts, and artifacts. Of course, the arts produced from this community can be present in another community. The artifacts of this community can be made available. Then you can see that at times, in terms of culture, things like language, this community may begin to speak the dialect of this other community. You also see borrowed culture. In some of our communities today, some cultures we have are borrowed culture from our interaction with other communities. So you see exchange of culture, you see exchange of ideas. Then it also promotes sharing of skills and technological know-how. Some communities are naturally skilled in a particular technology. They may develop this technology, but by her interaction with another community, the other community will develop the same technology on how to produce the same thing. So it promotes that exchange of technical know-how. Then by enhancing mutual understanding or cooperation, it promotes cooperation. It makes communities to work together in so many things. At times working together maybe in terms of their security of their members. They may work together to do that. They may work together to provide common social amenities that will serve both communities. So it makes them to work together. It makes them to also assist one another in times of need. And a community can be a lending resort to another community. That's lend money to another community. A community may be a refuge place for another community when there is attack or maybe natural disaster in the neighboring community. The other community, because of their interaction, can be the refuge place for the other community. So that is assisting one another in terms of need. Then by encouraging open-mindedness to one another, the communities will have open mind in their relation with each other. Then by promoting fairness among communities, the community will be fair in their dealings because of their interrelationship. Then also it will promote love and hospitality. Now hospitality in the sense that at times you see a person almost permanently living in another community. He will raise his family, raise his generation in another community because of this interaction. Now the other community has become hospitable enough that members of this other community can decide to stay and live in that particular community. So it promotes that love and hospitality. Then it also facilitates financial assistance and other benefits. Now a community can get a financial assistance from another community in times of need because of the interaction that exists between these two communities. It could be that the community was attacked, houses razed, or a community. Then another community, a neighboring community, they can organize themselves, raise money to restore some of the losses that this other one incurred. So these things are financial assistance they give to each other. Also, by promoting intercommunal marriages or relationship, if anywhere you see intercommunal relation, two communities that relate also exchange marriages. You see a member of community A marry a woman from community B, and vice versa. So it encourages and enhances intercommunal marriages. Then another one is it helps in solving intercommunal crises and disputes. Yes, of course, intercommunal disputes or crisis is unavoidable in intercommunal relationship. But intercommunal relationship, on the other hand, also helps in solving this or resolving this intercommunal dispute that may arise. So it's the level of relationship that they have that will determine how they can quickly and easily resolve any crisis coming up. Then it creates strong bond and alliance or unity among communities. Of course, two communities make them to create strong bond, work together, even see themselves as a particular zone. If you attack this particular community, both of them are together in attacking you back. So you see them working together in unity as one. It promotes that. Then it promotes mutual or common security platform for curbing crimes. In our different communities in Nigeria today, you see we are two communities or more communities will establish one security outfit that will be securing their communities, because at times you don't always rely on the law enforcement agency created by the government. They are not everywhere. So you see communities coming together to raise a security outfit that will give protection to lives and property in their states. Then another one is it promotes law and order or social stability. Yes, mutual understanding, relations or interactions among or between communities help a lot in building law, in maintaining law and order, that is ensuring peace at all time. Then it prevents war and unnecessary tensions and killings. When two communities interact, it prevents wars, it prevents hostilities among them, and also it enhances access to resources in all the communities. Yes, the resources of this community will be made available to the other community. The resources of this other community will be made available to the other community. There may be a crop grown in this community that cannot be grown in this other community. Of course, this other community will have access to it. There are people who will not lack such crop. There may be a natural resource deposited. There may be natural resources deposited in a particular community that is lacking in this other community. This one will have access to it. So it's part of the benefit. And also, finally, it provides social infrastructure. Of course, we have seen situations where two communities organize to build common road, to provide electricity, transformer that will serve them, provide health centers, name it after the two communities, provide common hall for the two communities. So these are some of the benefits of intercommunal relationship. Now let's look at question number 4. The first question is list 3 government agencies that are constitutionally empowered to arrest persons who commit drug-related offense in Nigeria. Now there are agencies that can arrest any person that is suspected to have committed a drug-related offense in Nigeria. Now, the one that comes to mind mostly is National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, which is the one that is primarily saddled with this responsibility. Of course, it's not only it. National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is also empowered to arrest any person that commits a drug-related offense. It doesn't stop there. The Nigerian police is empowered as well, because that's the major law enforcement agency of the country. So it can as well arrest any person that commits drug-related offense in Nigeria. Also, Nigerian Customs Service, especially those that do their own cross-border drug trafficking, can arrest. Then Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps can also arrest any person that is found that is involved in committing drug-related offense in Nigeria. So these are the agencies. Now they say three. Any three of these agencies can go, and the mark is 3 marks. Now let's look at the next question. The next question says, in what 6 ways can non-adherence to medical advice or certified medical professionals constitute a threat to the survival of the sick and the society? So in other words, testing your knowledge on the effect of drug abuse, because taking not adhering to the advice of the medical professional is a form of drug abuse. Now, what are they? One, untimely death. Of course, it can lead to death if you don't follow this prescription of a medical professional, or if you don't go according to their advice, you don't know what the composition, the chemical composition of the drugs. You may take overdose and it can lead to death, or you can take less than what is required, can lead to death, or you can take it on your own self-medication without knowing the effect or what is your problem. It can lead to death. Of course, deformities or disabilities, it can lead to deformities or disabilities. If you're lucky to escape the death, it can cause disabilities by affecting some of your organs in the body. Apart from even a pregnant woman, it can cause disability or deformity on the unborn child. When people don't adhere to the medical advice of a health practitioner, of course, it can worsen the health condition of the person. If you're not diligently taking the drugs as prescribed, it can worsen the health condition. Of course, another one is it can lead to mood swing, especially when the person is depressed as a result of drug abuse that is not adhering to medical advice. It can lead to mood swing. You see the person changes mood immediately. The person that you thought is happy is angry at the same time. So it can also increase cost of treatment by patient or family. Now it can increase the cost of treatment. The cost will increase because non-adherence can actually cause effects on your health effects that will require more costs for you to treat. Then, of course, psychological trauma or emotional burden can be one of the consequences of drug abuse. Also, rising economic burden or cost implication to the society. Of course, the society has to fight abuse of drugs. Society needs a lot of enlightenment campaigns, which will cost. Also, it increases dependency on the society because of the increasing cost of the effects of this drug abuse. It may make somebody to even not be able to work hard to earn a living. The person becomes dependent on other members of the society. Also, it becomes a pressure on health facilities, especially when worsening health problem develops as a result of this non-adherence. Of course, the people will begin to frequent health facility and there will be pressure on our health facilities. It may result to poor disease control or spread of infectious disease. Now, we are talking about an example, a disease like COVID-19, where a person is supposed to be quarantined, given adequate medication. Now, the person did not adhere to this, abuses the medical advice, and begins to distribute it to other people. So it can lead to the spread of such contagious disease. It can lead to waste of medicine. If you don't adhere to medical advice, the drug will not work the way it should work. And of course, you waste the medications. Then also it reduces functional abilities of victims and the family. It can also lower the quality of life of the individual engaging in drug abuse. The quality of life will lower because you find out that the person will live his or her life always addicted to drug. Also, it prolongs hospitalization. Of course, such person, when you begin to have damages to internal organs, when you begin to have things like that, of course, the person will be hospitalized and the person will stay long in the hospital. It increases healthcare intervention. The person will always need, or the people will always need intervention of the healthcare personnel. And of course, there is danger of developing drug resistance. When people abuse drugs, they can develop allergy to drugs that are supposed to cure them. Their body begin to resist drug. And when you get to this point, of course, the person is in a big trouble. So these are some of the ways non-adherence to medical advice or certified medical professionals constitute a threat to the survival of the sick in the society. Let's look at question number 5. Question number 5, the A part of it says, highlight 3 major ways by which HIV/AIDS can be contracted. Now, it's one of the emerging issues. Now, it can be contracted through the transfusion of HIV-infected blood to a non-infected person, or transfusion of unscreened blood. That is, when you transfuse blood that is not screened, and the blood that is involved here is the blood of an infected person, of course, HIV can be contracted automatically. When there is unprotected sex with HIV/AIDS infected person, it can lead to contraction of HIV. Then sharing of syringe, needles, and other piercing or cutting objects can also lead to the contraction of HIV/AIDS, especially when somebody who is infected, an infected person is involved. Also, a child can contract it through the mother. Mother can transfer a HIV to the child through pregnancy, during delivery, and even during breastfeeding. So it's another major way to transfer HIV. Then another one is kissing an infected person with mouth sore or wound. When you have somebody that is infected with HIV and the person is kissed, and especially when the infected person has sore on the mouth, wound in the mouth, of course, blood transfusion can take place. So it can lead to that. Then unfaithfulness to one's partner, that is having multiple sex partners, can lead to contraction of HIV/AIDS. Then cultural or religious practices that involve exchange of blood, example, oath taking of oath or covenant can lead to HIV/AIDS. Then exposure to infected body fluids, example, blood of a person, open wounds, can also lead to HIV/AIDS. So these are the ways HIV/AIDS can be contracted. Now, this question requires each point is 1 mark. So mere mentioning of any of these 3 ways gives 1 mark. That's 3 marks in all. Now let's look at the sub question again. That's B, which says, state 3 reasons why the eradication of HIV/AIDS is still problematic in Nigeria. That is why we are still having HIV. We have not eradicated it, and it's not possible to eradicate it. Now, there are so many reasons for this. One reason is people avoid being dictated by the society because of the stigmatization associated with it. So, because people don't want others to know, we keep on having it. The thing is growing secretly, but people are not aware because people want to avoid being stigmatized. Then another one is concealment of the identity of people living with HIV/AIDS after knowing about their health status. Those living with HIV/AIDS, they conceal it. The health practitioners that are aware conceal it. They don't tell people that this particular person is HIV positive. So it is being concealed, and because it is being concealed, it keeps on spreading. Then another one is high incidence of drug addiction in the society. So people are addicted to drugs, and when people are addicted to drugs, they may do many things that can lead to HIV, especially the way they have their sex. They may not bother about protection. So it can lead to, it's making HIV curtailment problematic in Nigeria. Then high denial of existence of HIV/AIDS by some individuals in the society. Some people still now believe that HIV/AIDS does not exist. Some people up till now. So because of that, that's no, it's not true. It's not true. It's a scam. This. So that has made this to eradicate it become problematic because such people end up getting it. Then another one is problem of human trafficking, forced prostitution, and sex slavery. Now, victims of human trafficking are subjected to rape, forced prostitution, sex slavery, and of course, in many cases, this sex we are talking about is unprotected. So HIV can take place because of it. Then prostitution and unprotected sex. People are still having unprotected sex with people that are not their husband or wife. So people have even, some people are promiscuous, and even in their promiscuity, they have unprotected sex. Now, this makes eradication of HIV problematic in Nigeria. Then cult initiation and blood covenant among people. Some people take some initiations are done with blood, and this has made curbing HIV or eradicating it a problem in Nigeria because people keep on getting it through such blood covenant. Then ill-equipped medical facilities, especially when some instruments are not sterilized in the hospital or medical facilities. Of course, people can contract HIV, and it makes eradication very difficult. Then poverty on some people, leading to promiscuity, promiscuous behaviors or activities. Example, there are people in the university, especially some ladies in the university, because nobody is supporting them. The parents are poor, they must survive. And also there are people in the street, some ladies in the street or girls, they must survive. And they are easy prey to people who want them for sex. So also illiteracy and ignorance. People are ignorant of this HIV/AIDS. Because they're ignorant about it, they end up getting it. Becomes a problem to our country. Existence of some cultural practices and beliefs like genital mutilation. The cause of it can, of course, lead to spill of blood. Of course, HIV can take place because of transfusion. Now, carefree attitude to unprotected sex. To some people, it doesn't matter. They just want to enjoy it. They go for unprotected sex. They don't think about safety. They don't think about their health in going for unprotected sex. This had made curbing or eradication of HIV problematic in Nigeria. Then, continuous transfusion of unscreened blood in rural areas. There are some places, some crude places, rural places, where the enlightenment is low. And when there is emergency, They transfuse blood without actually screening. Of course, when an infected person's blood is involved, automatically HIV must be transfused. Then another one is fear of being tested positive for HIV. Many people don't go for HIV test because they don't want to be tested positive. They fear that if they go, they may be tested positive, and because of that, they will not go for the test. And you see them carrying HIV and transferring HIV to other and spreading HIV to other people. Then, insufficient mobile outreach center or services to the most at-risk population. When you talk about most at-risk population, you're talking about people like sex workers, drug addicts. So the enlightenment does not always get to them, and because of that, some of them have unprotected sex, some of them expose themselves to health practices that can lead to HIV. Then poor access to treatment and high cost of treatment has also made it problematic in the country. The increased rate of rape in the society. Rape is on the high rise, and in most cases, rapists do not care to go for protection. They want to do it immediately. Of course, their victim won't allow them to go to start putting the condom on them before having sex. So because of that, most rape victims are having unprotected sex. In most cases of rape, unprotected sex is involved. And because of that, people keep on getting sex, and it becomes a problem to our country. Then poor access to treatment or high cost of treatment. Then breakdown of morality in the society, moral decadence, where people don't see anything about sex. They see it as a natural thing that people have to enjoy. There is no moral conscience about having sex. This is also leading to a high spread of HIV/AIDS.